Number 1, where do you get your morality from, and please explain your morality?
Well, in simple terms, I get my morality from my own personal conscience. The logical follow-up would of course be, what is a conscience and where do you think it comes from? My conscience involves the consideration of situational factors and previous experiences with similar situations, coupled with what I would consider to be the most desirable outcome. These considerations formulate my determinations for what would be the best course of action to take. My judgment is far from perfect, however, and I am seldom able to see all the angles in all likelihood. But I find my choices have reaped more benefits for myself and others overall than they would if they were based on a strict moral absolute model, one that doesn't use contextual considerations for each situation. Furthermore, I think all morality comes from a person's self-centered judgments, and I would emphasize self-centered. A theist expects to be rewarded with eternal life in paradise for a life of good deeds, while I, as an atheist, in performing so-called selfless acts of giving, improve my community in some way, and I benefit from having a better society to live in.
2. Why do you accept evolution? Explain how you came to your conclusions.
Because the theory of evolution, in layman's terms, is a fact. It has occurred, it is occurring, and there are mountains of evidence to support the assertions and predictions made by the evolutionary theory. In professional scientific terms, a theory is a highly educated explanation of one or a few closely related processes based on demonstrable and repeatable observations, also known as empirical evidence. The theory of evolution sufficiently explains the demonstrable and repeatable observations found in the fossil record, extant physical taxonomy, the DNA codes, as well as many other observations made in the study of biology. I also accept the theory of evolution because there is no alternative scientific theory. In order to be a theory, I should state, one requires evidence. Creationism, for example, has no demonstrable or repeatable evidence, only dogmatic belief without evidence. Intelligent design, as well, is nothing more than creationism in a lab coat, as a sheep's in wolf's clothing, and has been discredited in a court of law in the Kitzmiller versus Dover case back in 2005. You might have heard of it. The judge who presided over the Dover trial back in 2005 ruled that intelligent design is not science. And he was appointed to the bench by George W. Bush, so this wasn't some liberal activist judge legislating from the bench.
3. What is the meaning and purpose of your life?
I have no real objective purpose other than to survive and propagate my species. Beyond that, any purpose is something I assign myself. It's subjective, and a creation of my own imagination. In the broadest sense, I have purposed myself with learning as much as I can about any and everything, and then passing on my acquired knowledge to others.
4. What is the greatest thing you have ever done for others?
I don't know. I've certainly tried to help people in need when the opportunity presents itself, but I have no way of knowing who I helped the most. I might have given $20 to some beggar on the street, who then went and spent it on booze or drugs. I might have given another beggar $10, who then used it to help buy a ticket home and was a prodigal son to his father. That would certainly help more than the $20 I gave to the other beggar. But in the end, I don't know.
5. Would you kill for atheism?
No. I would kill for my own survival. I would kill for the survival of my loved ones. But I would not kill for atheism. As an atheistic naturalist, I base all of my beliefs on empirical evidence, and there is no reason to kill someone simply because they disagree with me. I must state my case peaceably, and they are free to accept my analysis of the evidence or reject it in favor of another person's analysis. And without having to face eternal punishment for rejecting my ideas, I might add. They may face ridicule, perhaps, but they are just as able to ridicule me, assuming they have their own evidence, of course. This is why people laugh at creationists.
6. Why are you an atheist and consider your position valid?
Well, I think you can get a general sense from all of my other answers to your other questions. But to summarize, I consider evidence, empirical evidence, in the same way most men consider tits. Evidence or get the fuck out.
7. If you died and discovered a God existed, what would you say to he, she, or it?
Well, I'd probably say, well, that's interesting. Of course, I'm more inclined to have God explain himself first, rather than act on the assumption of any particular earthly religion or whether or not they had it right. I would ask, why does God hide himself from reasonable testing? Why was he so intimately and obviously involved in the stories told by religious texts, but not in the world today? Was he really involved in these events described by religion's version of history? Did any or some of these events even happen at all? Only when God has explained these things to me would I then explain myself to him. But if he was truly all-powerful and all-knowing God, then he would already know my reasons, wouldn't he?
8. What religion is the most dangerous in your eyes today and in the past?
In order to be considered the world's most dangerous religion, I would postulate that there are 4 criteria. First, the religions must be dogmatic, an immovable doctrine intolerant of deviation. Second, the religion must be evangelical, a doctrine that believers must convert all non-believers with the goal of eventually becoming the only religion in the world left. Third, there must be a sect within religion which advocates conversion through acts of violence, also known as conversion by the sword. Finally, the violent acts perpetrated by such religious sects must be a combination of greater number, frequency, and effectiveness of such acts compared to the acts of violence from other religions and their violent sects. It is my opinion that Islam presently holds this dishonor, and that Christianity should be noted as a current contender. Additionally, Christianity was at some point the world's most dangerous religion, among many others.
9. Name 3 peaceful religions you have no issue with.
I have a problem with every ideology that is not based on empirical observation and makes a virtue of faith, that applauds stubborn, willful ignorance in the face of reality. But to answer the spirit of this question, 3 embodiments of theism which I consider the most peaceful include Northwestern Amerindian animism, Tibetan Buddhism, and deism.
10. What would it take to believe in a God?
Evidence, demonstrable and repeatable observations. Let this God, who has allegedly revealed himself to so many, reveal himself to me. Let his form be perceivable. Let his voice be audible. Let his revelations and predictions be testable, to be confirmed or falsified, and pass the rigors of repeatable results and peer review.
11. Would the world be a better place without religion?
Yes, the world would be a better place if everyone required substantial evidence before accepting anyone else's claims or assertions, and sought more knowledge of the true nature of the universe rather than labeling such pursuits sinful, and the knowledge that could be gained from it as tools of the devil.
12. How do you feel about government and politics?
I am a libertarian. Libertarians believe in liberty and are opposed to oppression. I believe that free markets, coupled with free societies, would provide the greatest protection for every person's life and liberties, and the greatest opportunities for their pursuit of happiness. Government control is seldom the answer, and I would hazard to guess it is never the best answer.